What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a new video. It's been a minute. My apologies. I took a break towards the end of the year to get a few things situated, figure things out with business, get us prepped for the new year, along with started a nonprofit organization. Therefore, my time has been strapped lately and I haven't been filming a whole lot of anything. With the new builds coming up in 2021, you guys will see a ton of new content rolling out. Support the youth, you guys will see that as well. It's going to be featured here on the channel. We're going classroom to classroom, talking with students one-on-one, donating tools, donating money to better their classroom experience. But that's enough about the nonprofit. If you want to check out the links, down below. Today's video is sponsored by ConX. This is a program on a computer that allows you to pull up a set of plans, change the scale, whatever you need to do, and then run through and get all your measurements, get your area, your perimeter, anything you need to do, you can do on this app. It is very simple to use. I'm going to show you 3 different things that I use it for today, and hopefully after this you have a better understanding of the app. So we're going to head on over to ConXJobs.com. You guys can check it out right now if you want to, or wait till the end of the video. Links are down below. Once you log in, the cool part about it, and the thing I like the most, is that all your plans are still there. So I have 4 sets of plans in total that I've marked up from the time that I started using this, dating all the way back to the Building a Custom Home series. You can go back and look at any of those sets of plans too, which is really nice. But there's a few things that I really like this for. 1, figuring out your roof sheathing. 2, figuring out your siding. And 3, figuring out your linear feet for studs. This is all stuff that could be done on paper. This is all stuff that people did for decades and decades prior without a computer. But I'm going to show you just how easy and how streamlined this is using a PC. So let's get going. You can see here on the left-hand side I have all my pages for my plans. Up here we have all of our tools, select, rectangle. We're going to be using the length tool. If you click it, you can see we have groups, and it'll say add to group. You can make your own groups. I have 2x4 interior walls, 2x6 exterior. We're going to start out with the 2x6 exterior. And everything is labeled as a different color, so it's easy to keep track of. So we've got that tool selected. We're going to click and drag all the way around. And we're only going to do exterior walls. This is going to do a few things for us. It's going to give us our shear panel, our siding if we're doing board and batten, along with our stud count. We're just going to click and drag all the way around and then double click to finish it off. We've got this drop down menu here. You can see it's labeled 2x6 exterior walls. We have 247 linear feet. We're going to label that 247 LF. And now we're going to multiply that by 1.1 to get our stud count. So we've got 247 times 1.1, and that equals out to 271 studs for exterior. A lot of the times people will try to pinpoint and add 2 studs for this corner, 2 for this window, 1 here for an intersecting wall, and it's a pain. Since stud layouts are 16 inches on center, by multiplying that 247 times 1.1, you're giving yourself just about a stud per foot, if not a little bit extra. Therefore, it'll give you enough to do all your corners, your intersecting walls, your big windows for double kings. It'll give you enough to do everything you need. We can figure out our shear panel just as easy. We're going to take that 247 and divide it by 4 for 4 foot, since our sheets are going to run 4 foot vertically. 247 divided by 4 gives us 61.75 for sheets. We're going to just round up. We'll do 65 sheets, give us a few extra. So with that one simple measurement just around the exterior of the building, we have our stud count. We've got our sheathing count for our OSB. If you're using board and batten siding, you're going to be using a 4x9 sheet as well. Therefore, the same amount of sheets to do the OSB will be required to do your siding as well. But let's keep it going real quick, back on track. We have all of our exterior walls marked out. Since we're working with 2x6 for these exterior walls, any 2x6 interior walls, we're going to want to mark out as well. We've got one right here that comes out and over. It's so easy too. It's just a click and then a double click. We got this here, that there. And that'll all be labeled underneath that group right there, that folder. So now we've got a new total with those interior 2x6 walls as well, 275 times 1.1, 302 studs will do everything, interior and exterior. We're going to switch to a new group. We're going to switch to our 2x4 interior walls and do those. We got this going here. Now that we've got all these little guys inside marked out, we'll pull the drop down menu. We have 109 linear feet. We're going to multiply this times 1, so we're just going to go with 109 studs. Now the reason we multiplied times 1 instead of 1.1 is we don't need a whole lot of extra studs for the inside. Since the majority of the time, 2x4 interior walls are just to divide one room to the next, they're typically just laid out 16 on center all the way down. You're not going to have windows inside. You will have the occasional door, but even then, it only takes the header and a couple top crypts. There's really nothing to them. With your exterior walls, we multiplied times 1.1 to allow for all of your top crypts, bottom crypts. Your sills are doubled. There's a lot more that goes into them. Your corners are built up for, say, big hold downs. There's a lot more material that gets used on exterior walls as opposed to interior. So now we've measured out two different things. We have our interior studs, we have our exterior studs. We also figured out by dividing that perimeter by 4, our overall amount of sheets that we need for our shear panel, our OSB. And then if we're using board and batten siding, it's going to be that same 4-foot distance all the way around the place as well. So 65 sheets of 4x9 will wrap the place, and then 65 sheets of board and batten will do the siding as well. So let's touch base on that board and batten siding really quick before we move on to the next topic. So if you guys don't know what board and batten siding is, I'll have a picture up on the screen. Battens are laid out either 24 on center or 16 on center. 16 looks a lot cleaner and tighter, 24 just looks a little too spread out for me. To figure out how many battens you need, the calculation is simple. Multiply 247, which is the exterior perimeter, times 12 to put it into inches. That gives us 2,964. We're going to divide that by either 16 for 16 on center bats or 24 for 24 on center. Personally, I'm going to calc it out for 16 on center. So we're going to divide 2,964 by 16. That gives us 185 bats. Typically, I'll just add a few to it to where we have a few extra. We'll call it 195. So that takes care of our stud count, our shear panel, board and batten siding. Let's say we're doing a different type of siding. Let's pull open this drop-down menu. We want to get rid of everything aside from the 247 for our perimeter. So we're just going to go ahead and delete these now that we know all of our stud counts. We've got 247 feet, and we have this height and width. We're going to change the height to 9 foot for our walls, and that's going to change this total here. That gives us 2,200 square feet, and that's going to be for the walls all the way around. So if you're using a product like James Hardie lap siding, 15 pieces of 8 1/4 makes 1 square, which is 100 square feet. So we've got just over 22 squares, 2,200 square feet of siding to do. So if we know that 15 pieces of James Hardie lap siding equals 100 square feet, which is a square, we're going to take the amount of squares that we have to do siding on here, which is just over 22, and multiply that by 15. So we'll do 22 times 15. That gives us 330. So we know that it'll take 330 pieces of the 8 1/4 by 144, 12 foot, to wrap this place in siding. Obviously, you're going to have to figure out your trim for around your windows, around your doors, and on your corners. But that right there gives you the amount of siding you'll need to wrap the place. Now, what I've shown so far doesn't calculate any of your gable ends. A quick way to do that, say you have a 20-foot wall. You have a 3-foot rise from top plate to your ridge up top. You're going to take that 20 foot, divide it by 2. Now you have a run and you have a rise. Multiply those two to get the area there. So 10 foot times 3, that gives you 30 square feet. You can factor that into your siding now when you figure out your material. So let's move on from there. I want to talk about our roof sheathing and our roofing as well. We're going to go ahead and move to a different page. We're going to find the roof framing plan, which we've got here. So here's where I really like this app, and it makes things a lot easier. We're going to go to a roof framing plan. We have a pitch of 5 and 12. We have our rectangle tool up top. We're going to change this to green. We're going to add a new group, and we're going to call this roof sheathing. 4 by 8 by 5/8. So it does not get much easier, guys. You click the rectangle up top, go to our roof sheathing tab that we just created, click and drag. We're just going to do this simple section right now, and then we'll go into a few others. But we're going to click this drop down menu. You can see here that our green tab is right around 500 square feet. So when you have a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet, you multiply those two to figure out how much a single sheet will cover. A 4 by 8 sheet will cover 32 square feet. You could divide 32 by 500 and it would give you a somewhat close sheet count. but that's not factoring in the pitch of the roof. If it's a 12 and 12, it's going to be much larger than 500 square feet. Since this is a 5 and 12, we're going to go over here with the little green arrow and find our pitch. We know that the pitch of this roof is a 5. So we enter 5, and you can see that that sheet count changed right there from 496 to 538. That's still a fairly mellow pitch. Let's change it to 12 and watch how much that square footage changes. 496 turned into 702. So you can't just go off of the square footage of the building. You have to factor in that pitch. Luckily out here in California we work with fairly mellow pitches, so we've got a 5. That does make it 538 square feet. We have 538 square feet. We're going to divide that by 32, which is how much a single sheet covers. 538 divided by 32 works out to 16.8 sheets. Same thing with anything, add a couple more. You guys know how to game it. And the same goes for this. You have so 16.8 sheets will cover this roof. To play it safe, we're going to add a couple more sheets on top. That'll be 19 sheets right there. Let's figure out a bigger section. So now say the building isn't perfectly square on the set of plans. It's off a little bit because people like to make things difficult. So you've got this side over here, as you can see, that's nice and straight. And then the rest kind of kicks off on this lower angle. We're going to hit polygon up top, and we are going to add that into our roof sheathing count as well. We're going to click here, click there. We're just going to run this bad boy on through. And then we'll run this one on through as well. Over calc, have a few extra sheets. Let's keep it going though and figure out the rest of this roof sheathing really quick. We'll get an overall square footage now, calculate it by that 5 and 12, and get our total roof sheathing count. So we're going to hit the rectangle tool, go down to our roof sheathing, click and drag this bottom section. I like how it shows up a different color to where you know where you're working. Then it turns green. And we're just going to calculate out this little guy here. It's just a filler in between the two units. So the last thing that we have to do is this little back patio 3 and 12 pitch roof. I'm not going to calculate it any differently. It does change from a 5 to a 3. I'm just going to calculate all of it as a 5 because it's such a small area, it's not going to make a difference. We'll click there, drag over, down, back. Yeah, it was barely 2 sheets. So I almost forgot this little section down here at the bottom. We're going to hit our polygon tool, hit our roof sheathing group, and we're just going to outline. And that tacked on a little bit more square footage. So 2105 is our finished roof square footage. We're going to divide that now, since it's calced out with our 5 and 12 pitch, we're going to divide that by 32. So 1942 is our overall square footage. 2105 is our adjusted square footage with the pitch calculated in there as well. So we're going to divide 2105 by 32, that 4 by 8 sheet coverage. That's going to give us 66 sheets. We'll add 10% for waste and give ourselves 72 sheets of 4 by 8 by 5/8 for the roof sheathing. Before we go on to calculating our roofing shingles, I wanted to talk more with you guys about framing, because you have your studs and then you have your plates, top and bottom. Double top plate, single bottom plate treated if it's on concrete. So figuring out your plating is fairly easy as well. You're either going to use 16 footers or you're going to use 20 footers. Depending on the size of the house, 16s might work out best. Take a look at your walls and see what you've got. If you have a bunch of walls that are right around 18 or just under 20, buy 20s. That way you're cutting down and you're using a single plate for a whole wall. For this house, we're going to calculate it out for 20 footers. We have in total 279 interior and exterior 2x6 walls. So we need 279 feet of plate, top and bottom. So what we're going to do is calculate out our bottom plate. We'll round up and make it 280 linear feet, and then divide that by 20. That gives us 14 sticks at 2x6 by 20. We'll want to add another one on there just in case a plate gets messed up during the plating process, so we'll make it 15 in total. The same amount that you need for your bottom plate, you can multiply times 2 since it's double top plate, and that's your number for that. So we need 15 bottom plate at 2x6 by 20, and we're going to need 30 top plate at 2x6 by 20. We bid framing per foot and we bid roofing per square. per 100 square feet. So we've got 2,105 square feet, 21 squares to cover here. Look into the roofing that you're planning on using. Most bundles cover 33.3 square feet. Therefore, 3 bundles equals a square. We have 21 squares to cover. We're going to multiply that by 3. That gives us 63 bundles of roofing to cover this roof. Now, obviously, you're going to have your flashing involved, which is just your perimeter. You're going to have your paper involved, your felt, or if you're using zip system, you're not. But 63 bundles of roofing will cover this place. So overall, this program helps you figure out what your square footage is, your linear footage. It helps you figure out a ton of different things. I use this the same way you guys are seeing right here. I do all of my calculations, all of my measuring on this app, and then I write everything down and get a material list on paper. This allows me to keep track of things easier, and I'm not trying to do the math here on paper. Trying to do everything here on paper gets really confusing, so having this app here that tells me that I've measured out 1,942 square feet and it's labeled in green allows me to make sure that everything I'm doing is very accurate. In this short amount of time, guys, I've shown you how to calculate your studs, your sheathing, your siding, 2 different ways, your roof material, your roof sheathing, and I think we're ready to go. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe button is somewhere down yonder. If you guys want to see more content related to plan reading, getting prepped for a build, please let me know down in the comments below. If you want to, check out the program that I just used, ConXJobs.com. Links down there as well. Let me know what you guys think of it. Overall, I really like the app. It's something that I've used for quite some time, so when they reached out and actually offered to partner, I was pretty stoked. Once again though, guys, I wouldn't push anything to you that I wouldn't use myself, so ConXJobs is Matt Bangs Wood approved. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys is the Count Items tool, a tool that I've used quite a bit because it can get really confusing on a paper set of plans. And that is the ability to go through and mark out a single dot for things like hold downs or things like straps or any of the hardware we use. You guys have seen our projects. We have a ton of different hardware that goes into them. So being able to keep track of them is huge. So let's run through the foundation plan. You can see down here the foundation hold down schedule. 21 in a little triangle is our HDU2s. You can see them listed everywhere. Seems like that's the most common one here. Although we do have a couple HDU5s here and there, we're going to go through and label all of our HDU2s. We're going to hit Count Items. We're going to enter HDU2s. We're going to change this one to, let's do light blue. Hit Add. And then all we have to do is go through and any of the 21s in a triangle, we're going to hit a little dot. One there, one there. And within, I don't know, a minute, I have managed to go nearly all the way around the building. I know that I've marked every one of them because they're all labeled in blue. And HDU2s are done. So we open up that drop-down menu. We need 23 HDU2s. I figured that out in less than a minute. While you could write it down on paper, you never know if you get all of them. So having them color coordinated, we'll go ahead and switch up. 23 is HDU5, we'll add that one as well. Hit that one and show you just how quick it goes. I deleted everything that I had saved on this program to where I could show you guys from scratch how to run it. Once you've used the program a few times, all the color groups we made are already loaded onto the program. So HDU2s from now on will be that light teal color. HDU5s will all be the red. And you can go through and mark out every set of plans you do. So we have HDU5s labeled as red. We'll hit all those really quick. And that seems to be all of them. There are a couple of other style hold downs that go into this place, HDU8s all the way up to HD19s, but just wanted to show you guys that Count Items tool real quick to show you just how good it works. So once you have finished whatever it is you want to do with this program, ConX, you can hit Download Measurements at the top. This will send you an Excel spreadsheet where you have everything that you've measured out listed on that spreadsheet. So you could, in theory, price things based off of this spreadsheet here by inputting how many studs you've got, putting the price of them, putting any waste you've got calculated, but I did all of that on paper. Therefore, on smaller jobs or on jobs where you're just pricing out, say like the flooring, you could put it in here and it could work very well. For rough framing and bigger projects, I use the program itself to figure out all of my numbers and document everything, and then I transfer everything to paper or to an email directly and send it off to the lumberyard for a price. From there, I get a price back from them, put my markup on it, and send it off to clients for any projects we have bidding. But that's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you look into ConX to see if it's something that can work for you. But that's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you took something away from it. I showed you different ways to figure out your siding, 15 pieces per square. I taught you guys what a square is, in case you didn't know what that is, 100 square feet. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please let me know down in the comments below. Go check out ConX website, sign up if you want to, play around with the program, and just see how you like it. Overall, I find a ton of awesome uses on there. Being able to buzz around the plans and figure things out, knowing that I've accounted for everything. It's great. You guys can go click down below, check it out. I plan on making this a small series for anybody that's looking to get into the industry and price out jobs such as flooring or siding as a whole. We dove in today and talked about how to get the big material figured out, but when it comes to doing siding, there are standards that are set for price per foot. We can dive into that more if you guys want to. But for now, I'm gonna head on out of here, guys. My name is Matt Pinella with Matt Bangs Wood. Thank you for tuning in after a couple month break, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Bang on.